Amid the war in Gaza, observers are also keeping a close eye on Israel's northern borders. With Israel sending its troops into Gaza, the threat of a multi-front war is risen more than ever. Lebanon, that sits on Israel's northern borders, hosts an Iranian-backed group called Hezbollah. The group has carried out some attacks on Israel's northern border after another Iran-backed group, Hamas, launched a multi-pronged attack on Israel on October 7th. Khaled Mashal, a senior Hamas figure, has called for greater involvement from Hezbollah and other supporters of the resistance. He emphasized on the importance of collective action, stating, and I quote, it's in all of our best interest to enter this war together. But political analysts aligned with Hezbollah reportedly responded by saying that it's not up to a person who lives in a hotel in a Gulf country to make demands like this. Analysts have also noted that Mashal's name is generally not well received in their society. So far, Hezbollah has not joined Hamas in the war, and it remains to be seen if at all it chooses to do so. Hamas and Hezbollah are both backed by Iran and see weakening Israel as their primary goal. However, the two groups are not the same. Their differences have already started to reflect in their actions. Unlike Hamas, Hezbollah has to date not gone to war purely for the Palestinian cause. Another point of difference is that Hamas has increasingly received funding, weapons and training from Iran, but it is not in Iran's pocket to the same degree as Hezbollah. The Lebanon-based group is backed almost exclusively by Iran and takes its directives from the Islamic Republic. Also, as a Sunni organization, Hamas does not share the Shia religious link to Iran that characterizes Hezbollah and most of Iran's proxies. As a result, while Hamas no doubt benefits from Iran's patronage, it tends to operate more independently than Hezbollah. In contrast, Hamas had received support in the past from Turkey and Qatar, among others, and operates with relative autonomy. The group has also been at odds with Iran over their opposing stances in Syria. Right now, this is very much a war between just Israel and Hamas. Hezbollah, if not activated by Iran, will most likely remain at a distance. Elijah J. Magnia is a war correspondent and also an analyst. He is joining us live from Brussels. Elijah, welcome to the show, and it's good to see you. There is varied opinion over the war spilling over to other countries in West Asia region, looking at how far the conflict has reached, and Iran saying that they do not want the war to spread out, and the West doubting that statement. Is there a possibility of this conflict spreading?
Thank you for having me. The possibility of this conflict to spread in other parts of the Middle East is always on the table. It depends because the Israelis have started the ground invasion, but they're not calling it as such to try and avoid being accused of failing in its objectives. So they call it a ground maneuver. Because of these ground maneuvers are still on the periphery of Gaza, they're still attacking just the limit of the houses in the northeast. This is why the Palestinian groups inside the city are lightly engaged with the Israelis while they are advancing. So far, the other groups that are waiting to see the result of this confrontation or this invasion are still not sure where this is going to lead. Is the Prime Minister Netanyahu will stop the war and start talking about the exchange of prisoners with Hamas, or is he going to attack and take only a small part of Gaza in the north that has been already invaded in 2008, 2014? This is why groups like Hezbollah are not going to be directly involved on a large scale, because they are already involved. And they are involved by first, they have attracted 3 out of 9 Israeli divisions to the Lebanese front. So they have divided the Israeli army power on the ground. So it is not fully dedicated to Gaza. They are engaged with the Israelis on the borders. So far, there are between 40 to 60 casualties on both sides. So both sides are taking casualties, trying not to enlarge the conflict. The Israelis have evacuated around 100 to 120,000 settlers from the borders with Lebanon. So Hezbollah is already attracting a large attention from the Israeli army, right, and trying to use the pressure on Gaza.
Let me put you to task on that point that you made of divisions. When it comes to divisions, and we are clearly seeing those divisions in the Israeli Defense Forces, because they are fighting Gaza, then they are fighting their borders, and they are saying they're protecting their borders. What impact would that be for Israel? Because, and I'm asking, what division would that have on Israel, or impact would that have on Israel?
Well, Israel told us that it is incapable of fighting on multiple fronts by the mere fact that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called upon the support of President Joe Biden, who is sending 2 carriers and a large naval troop, plus 2,000 of the Delta Special Forces to Israel, 2,500 of the Marines, and saying to Hezbollah, keep away, don't interfere. But Hezbollah is not listening to the Americans. Therefore, with the support of the American forces on the ground in Israel, in the operational room, teaching the Israelis how to minimize their casualties, supplying them with a lot of ammunition, because no country can go to war without so much ammunition as the one used in Gaza or against Gaza. Because of that, we understand that the Israelis are not capable of waging 2 front wars, one against Gaza and one against Lebanon. This is why there is a limited engagement still on the borders with Lebanon, and the Americans are saying, well, sending several messages to Iran via Qatar, via the French, via the Lebanese government, that they would like Hezbollah not to be involved. So this will be a nightmare for the Israelis to have 2 fronts simultaneously, but this is not something that is going to happen yet, because it depends on the performance of the Palestinians in Gaza while they are confronting the Israeli during their invasion.
All right, I've been talking to Elijah J. Magnia, who's a war correspondent and also an analyst. Elijah, thank you very much for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.